Hey everyone, Siege here, and today I'm going to be basically just breaking down a bunch of small, I don't know, mechanics, things like that I don't think many other people know. I've been using them for a bit, and because I'm not really focusing too much on competing, I felt like it was probably just a better idea to share them with the community at large as opposed to just like leaving them for myself for any kind of competitive advantage or anything like that. So just want to like run through a few things, could maybe go through every map for the most part. I've got like one or two things here or there that I felt like were, good enough to share. So first one here is on Bazaar, and this is a way to get the rockets. I don't think really anybody else does. It doesn't seem like it's probably anything special, so it actually combines two separate grapples, and I think it puts you in a position that you really would like to be if you're trying to push the enemy side, whether it's Flag or Slayer, doesn't really matter. What's going to happen is I'm going to take you from grabbing rockets from the BR den window on one side to the BR den window on the opposite side. If you're looking at the timestamps and when you see the rockets go by, you'll see I didn't get this first try. And there you go. So to break down, and you can do this from both sides of the map, doesn't really matter which one, but to just like slowly break down the discrete steps that you would take to do this, it's not super complicated, nothing mechanically intensive. I'll do it again from this side. So when you go for the first grapple, you're going to be looking to grapple the corresponding side on the opposite side, obviously, as well. This outer pillar thing or wall. And you're going to want to make sure that you sprint before you jump, or else you won't be able to slide. So you sprint, jump, slide across, and then don't bounce off of that thing like I did. And then you're going to look to grapple like very high up on this other wall here. When you make the second grapple, to grapple only part of the way and cut it off a little early. This is because if you just let the grapple go the entire way, you're gonna fly all past your the ledge. I mean, if you wanted to do that, sure, but in most cases, this is a great place to have the rockets because it's really easy to get kills in here with rockets. There's a ton of walls, a lot of open space, really hard to kill yourself for the most part. So, yeah, so that's one way to grab rockets on Bazaar. This is a slide that I think some people know how to do. I'm not sure. I haven't been watching a ton of gameplay recently, but I don't see anybody in the games that I'm playing really do it. And this works for both going towards rockets and OS. You can do a drop slide off of this, I don't know, this half wall thing onto this awning. And if you get it right, you can actually get all the way out without clambering onto this box here. I kind of missed it for a sec, but really easy way to rotate to rockets if you need to. If you get control of mid at some point, you get a kill or two, maybe you've killed a guy at BR or bombs, and you are now comfortable moving out towards rockets. This can be a good way to do it. Alternatively, if you need to go towards the power-up in some way, this can be a good way to do it as well, just speeding up the amount of time that you're doing it. Again, you wouldn't want to really do this when you are under fire for the most part, unless you can confidently like get cover or have somebody cover you while you're doing it. This is more so an opportunity to speed up a rotation during a moment when the map is free and open for you to do so. And thankfully, being symmetrical, you can do it from the opposite side as well. Again, you can get a little further than that. It just depends on how well you execute the actual slide itself. Another thing I haven't seen before from anybody else, I think it's because it's not really super practical, because these fruit stands kind of get blown up throughout the game anyway. You can actually trigger an insta-explode with a single spike grenade if you throw a grenade in the right spot on these fruit stands. It tends to be like near like the bottom half of like the middle leg. I've never found like a realistic opportunity to use this in game. It's just so kind of it's precise you have to be, and again, because it can really only use it once per game on a given, but as you can tell, if you miss one once, you can't do it again in the same game. There you go. Alright, so coming to live fire, the big one that I wanted to share with people here were 2 separate slides. This is a similar slide technique that you would use on recharge. There is a spot in elevator where it has a similar piece of geometry, or like a pattern of geometry, that you need to make sure that you take special care with to be able to actually slide this correctly. The biggest one is down here on bottom mid, or probably the most clear one is one on bottom mid, where when you hop over this like I don't know, this little lip on the ramp, it actually prevents you from sliding over it at all. It's because your momentum is kind of slowed, and then it just like messes with the timing of the curb slide. So there is actually a way to get around this. The way that you avoid this is you have to get onto the lip first for some brief amount of time, and then slide off of it. You can kind of mimic this by like getting onto the lip, stopping, and then sliding off of it, and doing the same thing. But it slows us down a little bit too much. We can do this in one fluid motion. The way you do that is you get onto the lip, turn briefly, and then slide off. So it's the same like concept of stopping, but you can do it in all. You can do it all without stopping your slide or your sprint at all. So it looks something like this again. So sprint, get on the lip, turn, and then slide out. Now we can take that concept and apply it to something else on this map, which is one of the reasons why this slide is really hard. Again, you could always get onto this divider thing, stop, and then slide out. But again, we usually want to try to avoid stopping our momentum, in any way. So I find that was actually a pretty good one. I find that it's easier to do it from right to left than left to right, like the other one. So I just did it like this, left to right. But I tend to find this angle can be a little bit easier as I just do this one horribly. Because you can kind of like get onto the divider at a little better of an angle. Slide out to mid. I know I have the oddball game top line right now, but one of the best ways to play this map, playing the B site on Stronghold on this map, you can kind of solo play this really, really nerdily. So whether it's hiding around the ring with the repulsor and trying to make some cheesy plays that way, I found a really valuable way to defend B, especially when enemies are coming from A, is to grab the spikes and just like kind of hide back here. A lot of people avoid checking corners in Halo. Corner checking is just not something people do in Halo a lot. You can kind of like sit for free back here when you recognize that people are just sprinting onto B. More often than not, if they're coming from A, they're going to be like in this space. You can just chuck 2 spike grenades here. And it's really hard for the person to react to the fact that that's happening. And then if they do, even if they do, usually their reaction is to push towards the middle. Even then, they still get hit by it, and you just have an easy kind of free cleanup on whoever that person or persons are. This is probably something that people know already as well, but any kind of pattern like this where you have a ramp onto a flat surface is also a really good slide. I like this one a lot because a lot of what happens when you're at nest is that you may be at nest and somebody's pushing you from C, and then you're fighting, and then you really don't have many options. Like even if you try to like get away through a slide like this, it's not too bad. But they have such a good angle on you if they come from bridge to deal with you. So one way that I like to try to avoid that is by sliding out to bottom mid before they can get to the bridge. And now they either are forced to drop into a worse position to try to chase me, or I just get away altogether and go through bottom mid to, I don't know, dummy door or wherever is safer, depending on where my teammates are. I don't think I've seen many people do this at all. You can actually blow up the drop shield like you might have done in Halo 3 with a bubble shield from the inside, but you can do this from both sides of the drop shield. You can either shoot this metal stick, well, shit. You can either shoot the metal stick on the inside or the outside of it, and they both will just insta-blow up the drop shield, like this. Another thing I don't think I've seen people do is getting some extra distance with throwing the ball. If you are in a pinch and you need to throw the ball out a lot further than you realistically can with just a normal toss, you can use the repulsor for an extra distance. You piece of shit.
All dropped. 1 minute remaining. Have way to victory. Ball drops.
That's a better
Ball
example.
incoming.
You can actually
30
also do this with
seconds
weapons too.
remaining.
Sometimes I will use this to get like a sword or like a sniper or a heat wave to a teammate that has like camo or something. But you can also use it to like toss it off the map too. It goes a lot farther than the ball. So going back to what we showed on live fire, this is the area I was talking about on elevator, on recharge, where you have that, again, that lip that stops you from doing the slide. So being able to do it off of or getting onto the lip first and then sliding off is the best way to do it. This is one that I've only used a handful of times a game. It's a little tough to get, but the grapple can be a great way to get the camo, as you would imagine, just like the same thing on Bazaar for getting overshield or whatever. I don't think I see enough people planning ahead for this kind of thing. You want to take like small goals that can help lead to better or easier approaches to different things in the future. One of the ways you can do that is playing for mini objectives, and one of them being the grapple. It's not easy to grab the grapple, especially in like high level play. It's really tough to like get out in this space without feeling like you're just gonna get shot by somebody. What you would want to do, with your team is use this as like a mini objective to play around. Take fights, cover for your teammates, the way that you would expect to go for like a camo normally or for a power weapon normally to help secure the grapple more safely. You don't want to just be like jumping out here to grab the grapple when it's not safe. So, take a fight a minute around the camo spawn, or like 45 to 30 seconds before the camo spawns, and use that fight, the end of that fight, to allow you to collect some more extra resources. One of those resources being the grapple. But you would want to essentially save it so that you can do this.
1 minute remaining.
I'm gonna try it again.
Camo available.
Yeah, that's a little bit better. I didn't go as far out. So some notes about that. One, yes, you have to jump, and you have to jump forward. There is a brief moment where you have that open line of sight to grapple a camo. The other thing is if you actually don't jump forward afterwards again, so you'll notice as I did it, I jumped forward afterward. This is because if you don't do that, the camo will actually get stuck underneath the ramp and the grapple will break, and then the camo will just drop below the bridge. So it realistically is a jump, grapple, and then jump again to let the grapple come to you. So what I have next is something I know that only a handful of people know. There's a way to get multiple tier 2 weapons to spawn on the map at the same time, and here's how you do it. First, you need a grapple. Second, you need to empty all the ammo out of the weapon that you want to duplicate. And then third, you wait for it to spawn. Then you grapple it to you, and as you're loading the second gun, another one should start spawning. And now there will be 2 shock rifles on the map at the same time, unless you obviously grab the ammo. You can actually cause basically the same number of weapons to spawn, tier 2 weapons to spawn on the map, as there are players in the game. Somebody grabs the gun on the weapon pan that's not me, and empties that ammo. When that ammo empties, then they do the grapple. And now there is a third one that spawns, and they have the one in their hands that was empty and now is full from grappling it to them. And you can keep doing this again for how many ever players there are in the game. Obviously, I think it would be very rare for any more than 2 to be spawned at once, but it is possible for sure. The only other weapon in HCS settings that you would be able to do this with is the Bulldog on Bazaar. So it would just be this recharge with the shock rifle and Bazaar with the Bulldog. This is a grapple that I think a lot of people know is possible. Really cool. You can actually do that without the clamber. You can clamber skip it. But there is a second variation of it that I occasionally do. It's a little bit more difficult, and I don't think too much more practical, but there could be some specific use cases for it that might be helpful. So you can actually get underneath the bridge and still get all the way up to A. So let's see if I can get it. Basically got it. Fuck. Shit. Ah! Mm. There we go. Easy. The key tends to be to avoid going too far under the bridge. You kind of want to just be like smacking your body into the bottom of the bridge, and then it kind of just like scoops you into it. Oh, and probably one of the best tricks that I've seen on this map. There you go. So this is actually a really difficult one to do, and I actually did it by accident once at the Penn Halo land. There seems to be a way that you can actually get up ATMs without having to jump a second time or clamber. Again, I haven't been able to recreate it since that day, and I've never done it before that day either. I don't even know what I did. All I remember is I had rockets, I sprinted over to ATMs, I wanted to get up, and just all of a sudden I was on top of it without jumping a second time. I think it might be that, like, crouch or like slide jump thing that Xiaowei has shown on Livefire. I actually almost just got it there. I'm gonna keep trying it and see if I can figure it out. I don't know, maybe Jtron will figure it out for me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you learned one or two things, maybe even all of these things. See ya.